Welcome back to our final session of today. We're here with Miriam Fallwetter. She's the project director from GIZ that manages the project supporting structural change in Ukrainian coal regions. She'll be moderating this session.
Thanks a lot, Carrie, and I'm glad that so many of you stayed with us today for our final panel of today's and this year's Energy Day, where we will be actually now zooming into the role of local communities and civil society to round up our discussions of today. This is the last session also before the networking reception, so there's a huge incentive for all of us to listen to us eagerly and then join us for discussions. I'm also glad that you stayed with us today because this panel is not only about energy in a technical manner, but it is also for myself a discussion about empowerment and also about hope for a nation that is currently in the process of war and that is looking at recovery and restoration. So we're focusing today on decentralized energy. We're focusing on resilience, and we also would like to focus on sustainable energy. A lot of buzzwords, but what I would like to do with my panelists today is to make this more than just buzzwords. It's the bedrock of the Ukrainian future for its energy policy. Decentralized energy actually means that we produce energy closer to where it's consumed. In doing so, we also reduce the vulnerability and hence enhance the resilience regarding attacks on our energy infrastructure. We have seen that this is crucial last winter. In doing so, we are also creating opportunities for new jobs, for local value chains that in turn benefit local communities. And all of this, we know, will obviously become even more important now that we're approaching winter. Now, the role of local communities is that they have a vast knowledge about what is actually needed on the ground, what the people need. This morning we heard Yaroslav also mentioning that it's about people. Our discussions are about people. And civil society actors, in turn, should play a role as intermediaries in order to link the local actors with political decision makers. So this is what I would like to discuss with my 6 distinguished speakers today that I will present later on. And I look very much forward to doing so, and I will hand over for the first input statement to Konstantin Krinitsky. Konstantin is heading the energy department at the well-known NGO EcoAction. And I'm very interested to hear what you think about the role of civil society and local communities for recovery. You have been pushing for this for many years, even before war times. But I think this issue becomes even more pressing now because we need all hands on deck and we need this to happen in a transparent and inclusive manner. So the floor is yours for the first 10 minutes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the invitation, first of all, and maybe given that it's evening and it's like dinner is almost ready for us and we'll go to reception, I will try to be concise. I would like to start with a good trend that I noticed, that given with each passing Energy Day, there are more representatives of civil society organizations in the audience and more municipal workers, mayors of Ukrainian towns. So we see that since these 3 or 4 years, this kind of cooperation widened, and involving new kind of stakeholders, new kind of actors actually strengthens it. Because while first events were more focused on high-level political discussions and cooperation between businesses, this local element and actually local element of people who will be doing the energy transition work, who will be doing the reconstruction, it was kind of not so clearly pronounced. Now I see this trend, this positive trend, and for me it says that it's a very good progression of the energy, German-Ukrainian energy partnership. And I hope that next year maybe also there will be more participants from the local municipalities also invited as speakers on this topic. So it was like a small lyrical digression from my part, but I couldn't not talk about it. So coming back to the topic of resilience and energy transition and the role of NGOs and municipalities. As you can imagine, I represent an environmental NGO, and we have been communicating and advocating for literally years and years that the way forward would be the more decentralized energy system based on renewable energy sources. And after the Russian full-scale invasion, this didn't become these buzzwords, but it became something more concrete and tangible for Ukrainian communities, and not primarily because of climate change and bringing down the pollution level, but because of energy security and resilience in their communities. Because with Russia's targeted strikes on our energy infrastructure, we all understood the value of having light, of the value of having heating. So this topic became currently kind of more understandable and easy to communicate and advocate for. And I see here also represented some great NGOs who are doing great stuff. For example, NGO Eco Club, who is already implemented 7 projects of installation of solar panels on hospitals in Ukraine, and they have, as I know, 4 already down in the pipeline until the end of the year. I see also NGO Act for Ukraine, who has implemented 4 projects already this year and planning to finish 3 more. So there are already these good examples, plus already Ukrainian communities also see a need in this, and there are communities who are already financing from their local budgets, who are already allocating money, allocating resources, allocating expertise, and they see benefit in it. So the conversation started shifting, but at the same time, for me, the trickiest part is that these kind of projects, they are very good. They are very tangible. They help concrete people. They help literally hundreds and sometimes thousands of people in the communities. But it's not a very systematic approach, because we can imagine that all hospitals in Ukraine will be covered with solar panels, but it will also be our energy system will see it. So we also need to make the assessment of what is happening, how many panels and how many projects are being implemented. We need to understand the impact in the future of the trends, if it continues like that. And we need to understand the impact on the demand side. I mean, need to understand the impact for the network operators. And here we come to the topic of these bigger questions, because always we will be talking about modeling of our balancing capacities for our energy system. We'll be talking about expansion of transmission. We'll be talking about flexibility. We'll be talking about all these things that cannot be really worked out on the municipal level by itself or by NGOs. So we need state policies, state programs, and international help from our partners to actually make it work. So I see that already last year and this year showed the kickstart of processes, but still there are a lack of concrete enabling mechanisms and structure to help facilitate it and not make it some one-off cases or 10 cases in Ukraine, but make it something wider and make an impact for the country and for the national level. So that kind of work, I hope that in the next 10 months, in the next 12 months, in the next year, energy partnership, German-Ukrainian energy partnership can facilitate this kind of discussions and concrete help that can bring forward the energy transition and Ukraine's green construction based on renewables and energy efficiency technologies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kostya, for your input statement. And you have noticed that my voice has left me. I suffered from COVID last week, but I'm perfectly fine and negative now, so don't you worry. And I will recuperate my voice as well. So thank you very much, Kostya, for that input statement. And I think it's a very good input in a sense to set the stage. I would like to raise my first question to you, Victoria. Victoria Grip is head of the subcommittee on energy security within Verkhovna Rada's committee on energy, housing and communal services. And I know, Victoria, that you have been pushing to empower local communities for a long time in order to strengthen their role also in the energy policy. I would be interested if you could share with us, why is it that this topic is close to your heart? Why are you pushing this? And what regulatory measures would you propose to be implemented in Ukraine?
Thank you very much, Miriam. It's a very important question because we were talking today mostly about state policies. And by the way, when Konstantin mentioned that we do need state policies, we do need state regulations, I must admit that we do need more empowerment for civil society, for local governance. What we need sometimes not really to interfere a lot. At the same time, we're in the middle of the war. It's very difficult now. And I cannot really blame our national government and parliament as well, that the decentralization reform, which was very successful. Now it's a little bit in a way that we can come back. At the same time, we need to find compromise. How not to do that, how not to cross this red line. Because people at local level and government at local level, they do know much more sometimes what they need, how they're going to resist, what they need to do in order to, at this stage, I'm not afraid to say this word, to survive. We need to have three strategies. One, short-term strategy, that strategy of survival. And I want to thank all our partners for your assistance. Without that assistance, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to survive. But now, we are not only surviving, we are trying really to get that victory. And I hope one day we'll do so. Second, that now I will talk about long-term strategy. And if we are talking about long-term strategy, definitely we are looking green. That's for sure. Because we do want to be the part of European Union. And it's not only wanting to be the part, yeah, it's also be able to become the member of the European Union. And for that part, we need really to do our homework. We need to, now in our strategy, energy strategy, and not only, by the way, energy strategy, but also social economic development strategy, to have the vision where we are moving and what we need to do. And in this movement, we must give more role to local government and civil society, definitely. Without that, I don't think we will be able fulfilling all the requirements of European Union. And at this stage, again, it's very difficult not to lose that insight. When we're talking about local government now, first of all, the big, huge problem, that's budget deficit. We all understand that. And by the way, we've fortunately not passed the law which will create the foundation for getting more taxes from local level to national level. At the same time, we need, I think now, to find opportunities how to generate that income at local level. We do need investment, and we do have now help from our partners, but mostly it's government approach. Yeah, it's like money from the budgets of our neighbors, our partners. But how to invest in Ukraine? We need to talk not only about investment, but also investors. What do they need? And here the role of local government is critical because, yeah, we do have war, and definitely we need to talk about all these insurances, war insurance and others. But at the same time, if local government wants to attract investment, they can do that. Now, a lot of companies, I was talking to a lot of businesses, and they say, come on, that's not only war. That's something different as well. We do want to understand that your policies are stable, that you don't have changes all the time, and that's the critical part. And if local government will play a bigger role, I'm sure those policies, they will be more stable than we have those now. And if we're talking about green energy and fossil fuel energy, again, don't forget that now we're in war and we need to pay attention to both. We need to help now a local government to support to work now on this decentralized system. But how to do that? I'm very grateful to GSZ because you are really helping us in working that out. And now with new rewarming project, I hope we'll find the solution what to do. At the same time, it's not only finding the solution, that's also, again, given authority to local government, that they can decide at local level what to do and how to do, with the help from national government. If we're talking about legislation in Parliament, we are ready to adopt the legislation which are really needed, but we need input from local government as well. Now what we are doing, we are trying to help, for example, with new changes in the law on green energy, with those additional changes, and I hope it was helpful for local government as well. At the same time, sometimes we need to see the whole picture. If we are going green, it doesn't mean that we don't need projects and calculations and assessment. Assessment needs is very important. I think that we need really to understand what's going on. It's not only to put solar panels now on hospitals, it's also working with oblast district heating companies and oblast generating, electricity generating companies in order to understand how to work together. Without that, unfortunately, we won't reach that result which we want to reach.
Thanks a lot, Victoria, for, I think, showing us all the encompassing picture and also the complexities of the cooperation between the different levels that we will also be discussing during our panel. Irina, I would like to ask you, and a little bit also in response to what we've just heard from Kostya and also from Victoria. Irina Stavchuk is a Ukraine Program Coordinator at the European Climate Foundation. And when researching what your work entailed before this panel, I came across this beautiful sentence of mainstreaming green recovery and climate-proof solutions into recovery. This is your mission, as far as I understand. This sounds fabulous, but it also sounds like a very daunting task. So could you explain to us a little bit what the solutions could be from your perspective in terms of, addressing the challenges that we've just heard also from Victoria?
Yeah, thank you very much. I would start probably with a story when last year all the Russian attacks started on the energy infrastructure, and we were sitting and thinking, okay, we have this task of the mainstreaming of climate solutions into the recovery of Ukraine, so what could be the response which actually can support people already now? And we came with the idea that actually it shouldn't be only diesel generators which are installed in Ukraine, but that we also should try and see, like others, there are opportunities for renewable energy. And I talked to different agencies, and actually there was a lot of skepticism in the beginning because, okay, the winter is going, we need it fast, so the diesel generators is the only solution. But then anyway, we went with pilot projects with civil society groups, and we had first feasibility studies and first installations. And actually, like over this year and by now, there are much more projects which have been developed on the ground in Ukraine. So we have already several cases of hospitals with solar panels, and when mayors actually see how it works, they start initiating similar projects on other objects. And the reasons, like 3 main reasons why I think it could happen. The first one is energy security. Like all this very difficult winter and understanding on the upcoming winters was a very big motivation to think what are the additional opportunities. Secondly, actually, already with current tariffs that municipalities pay for electricity, it makes economic sense. And of course, if you have to use diesel for getting electricity, it's even more, because diesel-generated electricity is extremely expensive. So it makes economic sense already now with the tariffs that they pay. And the third one, NGOs were really supporting and helping municipalities from the beginning to the end. So to identify objects, get all the technical obstacles, develop legal documentations, and they were doing that together. So municipalities also had the part of obligations and the work to be done. So it's also a process of learning by doing. They were getting all the capacity and all the knowledge through the process by working together. And that's how it worked. Of course, there are a lot of issues how to scale it up further, but what I also want to say is that we see the similar trends where nobody actually supported, but it also happens on the business side for self-consumption. There are news in Ukrainian media about retailers, Epicenter and Novus, installing solar panels on a lot of their retail facilities, and actually the companies which develop projects for businesses for self-consumption, they like by 4, by 5 times, they have more requests to develop and implement projects in Ukraine like over this year. So there is much, much bigger demand for businesses because they have to prepare. For them, not having electricity is much more costs than actually putting up solar energy. So these are the drivers, and this is a kind of, unfortunately because of the war, but that streamlined this very local kind of self-organization and development of really decentralized energy. If you want to scale it up on the municipal level, there are several things we have to think about. So the first one is having financial instruments in place, because the projects which have happened now with municipalities, because there was some co-financing, and also want to thank German government for putting money for more pilot projects like that to build up the capacity. But we need more sustainable instrument. It cannot go like as grants. There has to be an opportunity for them to actually take loans. Now IFIs do not provide such finance for small projects and for small municipalities. So there is a need for financial instrument in place. Secondly, they still need this technical assistance on designing the projects and legal advice and kind of guiding it forward, and through that build up their capacity. And we need to start think and kind of push the government of Ukraine to put more efforts to institutionalize the capacities in the municipalities. So they should have energy managers and these people, like there has to be human resources to learn and to work, and data collection so that it becomes actually a normal thing and not just as pilots. But then there are other areas which are more complicated. So energy efficiency in buildings, it's much more complicated because it's additional costs, and of course within the war situation it's very, very difficult to bring those additional costs. So yeah, the studies and pilots which would actually try to put on near zero energy buildings and really see in practice what does it mean in terms of costs and what actually could be feasible to be put as minimal standards already now, that's very much needed. And then other sectors like transport energy consumption, that's also like to make it proper, there have to be investments in public transport, I don't know, cycling infrastructure, better planning cities, and all of that also requires capacities and municipal investments while the budgets are actually empty. So renewable energy, that's a bright example which we have to push forward to make sure that actually it works and scales up, and we have good example there, but there are other areas where we also have to work to make sure that through the recovery we actually tackle the issues.
Thanks a lot, Irina. And I think your input also shows us that we're talking about multiple complexities. We have spoken about the challenges to bring on the table civil society together with political decision makers. We have spoken about the different levels of political decision making, Victoria. And now we're speaking even about all the different aspects of what actually means decentralized energy systems, right? We're speaking about different sectors, and we're speaking about sector coupling also. Transport, for example, renewable energy, and also energy efficiency. So not an easy task that we're discussing here today. But also a perfect, I think, handover to my next speaker on the panel, Robert Künne, who's heading the cluster for energy and climate at GIZ Ukraine. GIZ Ukraine has also been working a lot on energy efficiency historically. Obviously now, in war times, we have also expanded our activities and working a lot also with municipalities. So my question to you would also be, we're approaching winter, energy security is the topic right now. So what role can, from your perspective and also from GIZ's experience, municipalities play in order to enhance this energy security, maybe even from a demand side perspective?
Yes, thank you very much, Miriam, and very happy being here today. And part of this panel today, and I actually can complement and add to what Irina, Victoria, Kostya have been saying earlier, that indeed the local level for energy and their role for energy security plays a very important, is a very high, very important role, and I think that can, and we learned that also during discussions today. This is an area that should be further tapped into because there's a high potential and definitely actors in place, very experienced, knowledgeable, that can contribute very concretely to the further design and development of the system. Indeed, we have had the chance as GIZ working on behalf of the German government for many years, working in the building sector, energy efficiency, in public buildings, in private buildings, housing, first on the regulatory area level, driving forward reforms, also feeding in already since a couple of years into Ukraine's endeavor of coming closer to European Union, aligning policies to the EU acquis, and this is actually already a good basis, what we see today for Ukraine, that this reduced already since a couple of years the burden on the energy system when it comes to building sector. Deputy Minister Butenko this morning, he mentioned that the building sector consumes right now more than 40% of the energy demand in Ukraine. Lowering this demand, of course, immediately has a positive effect of stabilizing the energy system in Ukraine. Approaches and instruments like the National Energy Efficiency Fund in Ukraine contribute to modernizing buildings, reducing demand intensively, and thus are very important approaches which we have been working on together with EU on behalf of the German Ministry on the International Climate Initiative, driving this forward. And we're very happy that this instrument also proved very useful right now in times of war, helping to rebuild and reconstruct damaged buildings. Energy security and the local level, what is there, what we want to build upon is the broad experience of municipalities in managing their energy demand already since many years. On behalf of BIMZ, we've been working with more than 40 municipalities, and some of them are also here present today, where we've been advising on energy management and thus understanding clearly what is the situation, energy demand and necessity on the local level. And I think based on this experience, with the capacity development, training decision makers, training engineers, training also construction workers, what is it that is relevant to have an energy efficient building stock energy system? This is a very useful situation in times of war right now, because people are in place and can contribute themselves to stabilizing the system. In particular, just to add at this point, in particular, it's very, very useful to have the potential on the ground to understand from the energy planning, which is then the next step from the energy management, to understand what are the needs locally for energy sources, so what potentials do we have, but also what is the need and how do we match these two elements on the ground. And for this, I think it's very important to come back to the very successful reform of decentralization, to empower municipalities, empower local communities to take decisions right now to define and develop energy system and their contributions. Rooftop PV was mentioned, but also others adding to the energy system and the energy security on the ground.
Thanks a lot, Robert. And I'm also very glad that we, get from discussing the overall challenges to actually also naming already some concrete measures, some concrete projects. And I would like to continue with that and actually now look at, a concrete example from Lviv region. Stepan Kuibida is heading the economic department at Lviv Regional Military Administration. And Stepan, maybe you could share with us a little bit what is it that you have planned for Lviv region in terms of fostering decentralized energy supply, and in how far this links, for example, to your energy planning as such. What are your priorities right now, and what concrete measures could you imagine?
Good day to everyone. Thank you for your question, but first I wanted to say thank you to organizers that have the opportunity to participate in such an important event. As well, I want to thank everybody for support that you give to Ukraine. We feel this support, so thank you. And about our projects, about what do we think and what do we do right now. First of all, I want to talk about the partnership. The partnership of our local communities. Now I'm speaking about coal communities. They show the leadership, and they initiated the creation of the association of coal communities of Ukraine, the first such association. So they understand that, for example, energy, some projects can be provided by this association. Next, some success stories maybe. Under GIZ project, we created Chervonograd Industrial Park. Maybe it's not about the energy, but it's about the cooperations of our minds firstly. And right now we are only at start. We started developing the documentation for infrastructure development for this park, but we see the future there. Third one, it's maybe our institutional capacity. I feel the lack of institutional capacity. We need additional experts support us, because all we are professionals. We understand what we are speaking about, but we must change the minds of people, all people around us. Not everybody understands probably what we are doing. The next one, maybe I will tell a few things about solar and wind energy. I look like all communities that are in the Lviv region understand the priority of this task, and they show all the greenfield and brownfield projects that can be provided in energy, but work changes a lot of. So we have a lot of different projects, cool projects, but we have no money and no investors. No, you understand why not? Because of war. And maybe I will few words about mines. We are changing a lot of things that give us the opportunity to make just transition progress, really good progress. So I see how local communities with NGOs, for example, with regional government are producing new projects, but still we have one problem: money and experts that can help us to provide these projects in life. So these few things I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Stepan. And I would like to now also ask Dr. Andreas Koch about who's leading the team for neighborhoods and cities at the German Energy Agency, DENA, to maybe also react a little bit on what you have heard. DENA has been advising cities and municipalities in Germany for many years already on engaging into decentralized energy supply, becoming more active, and obviously also using business opportunities for their cities. Thinking about the need for money and expertise or experts, what would you react to that? How did you deal with that in Germany? And would you have recommendations for Ukraine on how to go forward?
Thank you, Miriam, and also from my side, many thanks for inviting me here to this panel. And yes, of course, I think it's easy to react because a lot of very important things have been mentioned, and obviously also financing or money to do these investments is a red thread that cuts through these kind of projects. But I think from just judging from experience, you also said creating the boundary conditions for businesses. I think one very important aspect about like the projects we've been following with cities and communities is that by their role, cities and communities would not be at the first place the actor to be in charge of decarbonizing the energy sector, but it's important to actually link these questions to the challenges and needs of cities. That would be questions like energy security, supplying livable cities, boundary conditions for investments. That is what really I think drives communities and drives city decision makers in cities to actually take action, and therefore this is, I think, something that would be the question that we already see. You mentioned the examples of hospitals being equipped with PV. That is obviously a key question for communities to provide high quality services even in time of war and ensure energy security there. We had a great meeting with a number of communities and our partner Eco Club on the question of different concepts that we wanted to promote in these communities earlier this month, and the projects really focused on decarbonizing the energy systems at the local community with decentralized systems, but they all had in common that they were looking at public services really, so hospitals, kindergarten or childcare facilities, swimming pool for schools, etc. So this is, I think, what drives people, and also from these exchanges, it was great to see that even in time of war, communities are really active, motivated, and very knowledgeable, looking at the different demands and also the opportunities. And having said that, obviously there's a need, and that's maybe a reaction also to what Kostya said, to see how we can, once we deliver these kind of decentralized systems, how we can actually put them into the bigger picture and see that the management of the overall system is working and is creating a future system that is based on renewables, on local renewables, and still running with a high level of supply security. And this is, I guess, something that will be a challenge, but it's coming back to the cities and communities would be also providing framework conditions that are reliable not only to business, what we heard before, of course, that's highly important, but also to decision makers at local level. And then finally, I think sometimes more than the money, the resource in terms of competence and people in the communities is very essential, and that is, I think, something that could maybe respond to the question of mainstreaming these kinds of activity, like Irina said.
Thanks a lot. And I think what our discussion has shown so far is obviously that we all, and we have also seen this in previous discussions, agree that local communities play a key role in the energy security and in the decentralization also of energy supply within Ukraine. Now, I would like to play a little bit devil's advocate and say that, yes, we agree that this is the case, and we agree that local communities need to be fostered. But if you would need to describe in maybe 3 sentences in terms of, time management, what can we do to make the local communities ready for winter? What do they need from your perspectives? What would be the 1 or 2 things that you would propose as solutions to get them ready so that they can supply the energy that their people need? I would maybe like to start with Victoria, because she's looking at me so frankly, to share our thoughts with us.
We're in October now, and unfortunately, we don't have time now for being prepared. I hope that local communities, they had chance to be prepared. They do have generators, by the way, because we don't know what will be tomorrow. Last year, on October 10th, Russians, they started their rocket attacks. This year, we are sitting and waiting, and by the way, we are very nervous because we don't know if they're collecting those rockets and drones and everything, and if it will be the same as Hamas did for Israel, then it will be a very difficult situation. So it's really very difficult to be prepared for that. But at the same time, when we're talking about local companies, communal services companies, they do need assistance, definitely. And I think that we need from our side also to give more authorities to local government to support those local communities, companies. Now they don't have really a lot of authorities on that. I think that we need still to leave more money at local level, because then local government will be able to react to some for such challenges. At the same time, we are really looking forward for assistance from our partners, because we do need some spare parts. We do need actually assistance. Sometimes you don't know now what you will need tomorrow. Definitely we do want to have reserves, but it's very difficult to have those reserves now, because we are trying to fix those items which are very urgent. But what we need to do, we need to find solution and to consume less. And energy efficiency, I think, here is really the answer for this topic, because without introducing local energy efficiency instruments and practices, frankly, it will be very difficult to overcome this winter.
Stepan, if I may ask you also, in terms of concrete measures that you're implementing in Lviv right now in order to still get ready for winter. I know obviously these preparations are not starting now, but they have started way earlier. What would they be? What concrete measures are you planning?
First of all, I want to say about physical protection of all generation and transformation in infrastructure. We need, we are speaking about communities, yeah? So communities need support, material support, finance support, innovation support. Maybe we can find out something that we have never seen before. For example, transformators under the underground, yeah? I'm not an engineer. I don't know how to do this. I'm only PhD in economics, so I can count money on something like that. But I think that we must find out some resourcefulness, yeah, and find something new. And I agree with my colleagues, more authority to local communities. Government must do this. And close the sky. Something like that.
Kostya, if I can still ask you a question, I know you also need to leave a little earlier. at the beginning I was mentioning the issue of hope. And I was wondering what would be your points to, well, maintain the hope for the community? What is it that you try to communicate when you speak to them?
That's a great question, because currently, as you can imagine, the topic of energy transition, it kind of goes into the topic of reconstruction of Ukraine. And what we are saying that, okay, reconstruction is happening right now, and it needs to be like, in Ukraine, nobody is saying that we need to go to what was before. So we need to be better. It creates this kind of atmosphere and need to seek the best possible solutions, cutting-edge technologies, and bringing the renewables into the mix that can really help. On the other hand, I would also be very interested to hear from the, because we are sitting here, I'm from NGO, we have the member of parliament, we have organizations at GIZ, we have regional administration, but also we have here the representatives of communities here in the audience. It would be also quite interesting to hear what they are thinking about it. So from my point of view, I would say that these kind of positive examples that already being implemented and realized, they can really help. On the other hand, I see this obstacle that we need to really coordinate the efforts on the local level, on the regional level, on the national level, that is currently, because of the war, of course, it's not being properly realized, but we see this obstacle that needs to be overcome and say, okay, there are already things and actions happening on the local level, people are ready, communities are ready, the city authorities are ready, NGOs are ready also to support. So we need to bring this kind of energy also a little bit further and higher to the decision-making, national decision makers.
And Robert, if you may allow to raise again the question of what is it, maybe the two things that we need to prepare in order to get ready for winter? How can we support communities?
I would say one thing which we are in the middle of preparing, have been doing so already last year, and I'm very, very proud that here with our team, on behalf of the German Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action, together with Dena, we're working on the energy partnership, and where we are bringing energy goods, crucial energy goods, to Ukraine. So we are in the middle of that process, have been all the time, and this is immediate support that will be available to people to keep the energy system up and running, to contribute to that. This is definitely a strong commitment from the German side, which we are happy that we can implement that and work here together. I'd say the other thing, a bit like a perspective, and on our wish list also is starting and further supporting on district heating, on the support to municipalities, is, as mentioned today, strongly supporting that pledge, tariff adjustments, making then investments, also modernization possible. And of course, when we're looking at the renewables, is the priority access to the grid of renewables, and making possible not only for the large scale, but actually for the small prosumers to easily link their renewable energy facility, solar rooftop, easily to the grid.
So I would like, yeah, you're raising your hand already, Irina.
Yeah, just also to add, so we have the preparedness for the winter from the national level, communities level, but I just wanted to bring the aspect of every individual in Ukraine, like knowing how it has been last year, everybody has been preparing. So unfortunately, due to this war, actually, the knowledge of every Ukrainian about the importance of the energy efficiency, kind of different options, what you can do to have like better energy security, and yeah, increased tremendously because of that. And I just hope that all this knowledge would become the basis for the necessary energy reforms in the future.
Thanks a lot for also raising this, the responsibility for the consumers themselves. And I also know that the Ukraine government has already started last year with a lot of, awareness raising campaigns and to teaching people actually how energy can be saved. This is, as we all know, usually only one part of the game with respect to demand side efforts, but definitely an important one, and also links a little bit to what you were saying before, that Epicenter and others putting up solar roofs on their roofs. These necessities obviously also create more awareness and more incentives to have this paradigm shift that we're speaking about, this new approach, right, to involve local communities and civil society. So, Andreas, again, you know, asking also a little bit and benefiting from your German experience, from the experiences that you have with working with German municipalities, what other recommendations would you give to Ukrainian municipalities and communities to engage, you know, to get active? Because one thing is obviously having finance and resources and the knowledge to do so, but sometimes it's also about maybe a proper motivation and doing the first step. So what would be some recommendations from the German context?
I think one of the big strengths of municipalities is that they also live with the ingenuity of the people, of the citizens, and of the enterprises. And it's like Irina said, there is obviously a need to get ready for winter, and then I'm assuming, and from experience with the exchange with Ukrainian communities, I can say that there's obviously also a need to collect this knowledge of people. Then maybe the advice would be, and what really worked and what was appreciated by German communities was to also see how this knowledge can be exchanged in platforms, because it usually is very specific. It's all valuable knowledge in the different communities, but sometimes I think these exchange platforms for communities help to actually also learn from other communities on how they would tackle problems, because of the very punctual maybe knowledge that you would find in communities. But then once you combine that, I think that can be a very rich basis to also help other communities that might not have the same set of organizations, of companies or people.
Very good point, and I think it also complements very well the experiences that, NGOs like EcoAction have, for example, gained with respect to the just transition topic, where also platforms and exchange between municipalities as such were a very valuable tool that we now also as GIZ are building upon. So thanks also for bringing this up. You know, it's also about exchanging and maybe also giving each other hope mutually, right? To share the common thoughts and discuss solutions. So I'm looking at Carrie in terms of time management. We are quite well, I would say. So I think instead of opening another round and then being very bad, we rather keep our time, and I hope that the drinks are already ready. But before that, let me, obviously thank our panelists. It is never easy to be the final panel, but I think the fact that so many of the audience stayed here today is you know, an appreciation of the quality of our discussion. Thanks a lot for that. Yes?
If I may, one last, it's not question, it's a request. I mentioned already that we must have different strategies. And the first strategy, this shortcoming strategy of survival, we do need help from our partners as well, not only in promoting green energy, for example, because now we do need to restore sometimes our generating capacities, even those who are working on coal. And we understand that that's against your current policy. But at the same time, if we're not going to overcome this winter, then it will be difficult for us to do everything, I mean, all that good things which we do want to do. So please talk to your governments, and when you're working, for example, with Energy Community Fund, helping Ukraine, don't put those restrictions for this upcoming year. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Victoria, for that final comment. And I also invite you to use the opportunity to discuss these topics further during our drinks today, because
I'm doing that all the time, believe me.
Some of the colleagues are here with us today. So thank you very much to all of you. Thank you also from my side personally, in particular to the Ukrainian colleagues, all of you who joined today, who took the long travel to Berlin. It is much appreciated. We all know that the resilience of the Ukrainian people is unparalleled, and we very much look forward to continue working together with you under the partnership, under the German-Ukrainian Energy Partnership, to also keep the energy system resilient. And victory will be there, and I look very much forward to that. So thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
That was Miriam Fallweather with our final session. This panel concludes the third annual Energy Day. I'd like to thank everyone that's joined us, especially those people that were streaming online. This event was organized by the Ukrainian Energy Partnership on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Economics and Climate Action in cooperation with the Ministry of Energy of Ukraine, the German Energy Agency, and in collaboration with GIZ. I know that I've reminded you throughout the day that whenever we talk about energy, we're talking about efficiency also. So that we can remain efficient with our networking, there's a one drink policy this evening, so we can all toast our efficiency as soon as the buffet is opened. Thank you very much for spending your time with us. I'm Carrie Oderman.